So should you start us off with like some sort of a gladiator war cry? I feel like you're better at that.
Oh, yeah. That's what I do in my spare time.
Something, give us like yell out Maximus or something.
I can just be like the crowd cheering Maximus, and you could say something.
What do I say?
I don't know. Something that Maximus would say.
I can't remember his full name.
Maximus Aurelius Dugilius. I don't know.
I don't know. I've only seen this movie twice. So
I'm pretty sure me too.
Really?
Really?
I would have guessed this was like your jam.
Yeah, you don't even know what I think about this movie at all, so suck it.
Okay, this is a really long intro. We should just get into it.
Maximus! No, I don't know. That's all I got. You can throw that in if you want. You can just use that.
I will. Welcome to Afterthoughts, everyone. This is a podcast where we rewatch movies and we compare our first and second impressions and discuss a related topic. My name is Joshua Kazemi, and I'm here with my co-host, Cole, the Coleman, Taylor Thomas.
Full name, yes. You can't remember Maximus's full name, but you can remember mine.
Boom. This week we're talking about Gladiator from 2000. And I anticipate some fun to be had on this podcast. But before we get there, Coleman's got to take us through the plot of Gladiator.
Always. So,
good luck.
Thank you. So there's Russell Crowe playing Maximus, who is not a gladiator in the beginning. He is a general of an army, and the emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, who was a real emperor of Rome, pretty sure, is dying after they win this battle, and he's pretty much taken over all of the world that he wanted to. And Marcus Aurelius' son, played by Joaquin Phoenix, shows up and expects to pretty much inherit the throne from the emperor, but does not. And the emperor actually wants to give all of his power to Maximus, who will then is supposed to give it over to the Senate. And he trusts Maximus to do this because Maximus is humble and doesn't crave power, while Joaquin Phoenix very much craves it. So the emperor tells his son about this, and his son is, furious about it and ends up killing him, and also wants his father's love, which is a big deal throughout the movie, and feels like he's not getting it. And he becomes the emperor and has Maximus's family killed and is supposed to have him killed, but of course he's just amazing and kills everyone who's supposed to kill him. Obviously, Russell Crowe. Of course. And I don't remember exactly what happens. Oh, yeah, he goes back to his house and finds his family dead, like burned and hung, and is picked up by slavers who then turn him into a gladiator. Who knew that was coming? And he fights as a gladiator, becomes awesome, and ends up going to Rome because of it, and is there just trying to plot how to kill the new Emperor Commodus, the son of Marcus Aurelius. And that's the plot.
So, I saw this movie in theaters in the year 2000, which...
Wow, nice.
For you Conan fans, I said that very specifically, intentionally. Anyways. And I remember two things as a child.
Mm-hmm.
That this movie was great.
Okay.
And that I didn't get it. Like, I remember the ride home, and I remember thinking, like, that movie was so cool. But I couldn't tell you what happened or... like, why any of it happened. Like, I just didn't get it. But it's still, like, I didn't care. It was just, like, cool fighting and stuff. And that was it. And I've never seen it again until this week.
Interesting.
Just once in 2000 and then again this week. That's it.
What did you, like, not get in 2000 as a child? What were you like? I didn't get that. Because I feel like if I had seen this as a child, I would have just been like, oh, it was awesome, fighting, and not cared that I didn't get it.
Well, so I mean, I don't remember ever understanding that Joaquin Phoenix was a prince who like killed his dad to get into power. I didn't remember any of the political stuff, and I mean, I didn't know that Russell Crowe's character wasn't always or that he was a general who became a gladiator. I thought he was a gladiator the whole time.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't understand any of the sort of political like overthrowing and switching powers or anything like that. To me, it was just a movie about gladiators, and at the end, he kills the bad guy who is a bad guy for whatever reason. I don't understand why he's bad.
Yeah.
And that was all it was to me.
Well, there you go.
And then it won the Oscar, and people have always talked about it as a great movie, so it just reinforced my idea of like, oh, this is a great movie, I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it did win an Oscar, and people have always talked about it as a great movie, and I saw it with that mindset, and found it pretty underwhelming the first time I saw it.
Ooh, when was this?
Oh, I don't know. Probably around either late middle school, early high school.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, that's sort of the best picture curse. You know, everyone expects it to be the best thing ever.
I know.
And it isn't always the best thing
and
ever.
Especially just being about sword fighting and everything and action packed. Not one of my favorites.
Okay.
And I think two big reasons were, one, it was always like comparative to Braveheart, which,
yep.
If you know me, Braveheart is one of my absolute favorite movies. So this movie, compared to that one, in my opinion, just was nowhere near that level. So it already had that kind of like on its shoulder. And then, I don't know, it was just like about, there were a few cool gladiator fights. And I watched this movie expecting it to be like just this action packed. That's what was like great about it in my also just like high school mind. It's like what I cared about. And then they're like, the fights are cool, but they're short. There's not much to them. And it's definitely a lot about the political stuff going on in the background. And I was like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first impression. Certainly
interesting.
Certainly not a bad movie. I did not ever think this movie was bad by any means. Just underwhelming from all the like crazy great things I'd heard about it.
And you and I have never talked about Gladiator.
We have
not. In our many years of friendship, and I should have known that probably meant that you weren't a super fan of it. Because you would have. I mean, at this point, I feel like you and I have brought up everything that we're fans of to each other.
Yeah,
you know, we would know or something, or at least one passing conversation about it. But yeah, I guess I should have known.
So what did you think I would think about this movie?
I thought you'd like it, and I thought maybe in a rewatch you'd maybe like it more.
No,
but that was me thinking that before I rewatched it.
Okay.
I think you and I are going to have similar issues.
All right. Awesome. Well, I mean, that's all there really was to my first impression, that it was just underwhelming. I still enjoyed it and thought it was great. I remember liking sad music always hits my heart. So when that comes on at the very end, that hit me in the heart. And the fighting was still cool. I loved a lot of the characters, especially the giant, Germanic guy, I guess, if that's what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. I always remembered Joaquin Phoenix being really weird in this movie. That certainly stayed with me forever.
Uh-huh.
But that's really all to my first impression.
Should we get into the second?
Let's do it.
I don't even know where to start. Because I feel like I have all these threads that don't necessarily connect to one another. You know, I don't have like a central idea with points. It's just like random things that I want to talk about.
All right, well, let's start with what'd you think, comparably.
Let's do, how about like the score, since you mentioned it a little bit already.
All right.
I think it's all over the place.
Okay.
I think, because they're like bombastic horns at times, but then there's like that flowy, like chanting kind of a thing, like that woman singing in a different language or whatever, and then there's parts that sound exactly like the Pirates of the Caribbean score, and it's because Hans Zimmer did the score for both. And this was obviously before, but it's just so strange to hear like that score that I can never appreciate apart from Pirates is in this movie. And it's like it's like almost note for note. Did you notice that?
I don't. It's just become so embarrassing that the only thing I really notice about movies are like the action and the story. It's like so repetitive in this podcast, but I don't pay attention to like the score or any of the cinematography. I mean, if it stands out, it stands out, but I don't just typically notice it for every movie.
It stuck out like a sore thumb to me. And it's like literally like maybe one or two notes is different. And it's the pirate score, which it's and it's crazy because Pirates came after. So really the pirate score is the Gladiator score.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
See, I seriously only that song at the end that's playing when he's dying do I remember. That's like it.
It's so funny. I remember thinking the whole time, like, this sounds just like Pirates. And then at the end of the movie, I was like, I need to look up who did both. And it's Hans Zimmer doing both.
Nice.
Come on. Anyways, that's all for the score. I just, like, to me, it was very distracting. Both the inconsistency of it and the fact that there were pirate parts in it.
All right. So you don't like the score. Check. Next.
No. I didn't find the story very compelling at all.
Yeah, You go.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
Once Maximus gets back to Rome or wherever it is that the prince is, then I'm in. Like from then on, it's like cool. There's stuff happening. There are stakes. He's not just a gladiator for the sake of being a gladiator. He's like got a mission, and people are there to help him, and all that stuff from then on is cool. But it's just like a really slow burn to it, and I don't care about any of it until that point. And it's like too far into the movie to not care.
Yeah, I don't know. This story, it really isn't that great, I don't think. And especially, I feel like one of the central points of the movie is that the power really is in the hands of the people. Like, even though Commodus is emperor, he's only emperor as long as the people want him to be emperor and enjoy him being emperor. So he tries to like put ways out there for them to like him better, including reopening the Colosseum. But then once Maximus shows up and the people start to turn to him, like the emperor loses power, even though he is the sole power of Rome. And while that's a cool message, I just thought it was so boring to be displayed in like just a gladiator. Of all the things, it's someone fighting in the Colosseum. And the fact that they even call the Colosseum the beating heart of the Roman Empire, I don't know if that's entirely true. I can definitely see how it's influenced Rome greatly and that insane things have happened there. But for it to be the beating heart of Rome, I don't know. And I just don't know if one gladiator would have that much sway. And it just, it seemed really far-fetched to me. And I felt like it could have been a better like rebellion movie or something more like Braveheart. And I guess it's a lot of my own expectations being thrown in, and that's kind of my own fault. But at the same time, it's still in the same way just feels a little underwhelming that it's about this gladiator overcoming like the quote unquote mob of Rome. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I could not help but compare it to Braveheart the whole time.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking, like, Braveheart had me hooked in the very beginning. And then I was invested in this really long, drawn-out story. Oh, by the way, I scoured for the theatrical cut because I did not want to watch a 3-hour movie, which is the extended cut.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there's no way I'm doing that. I have to watch theatrical because it's only 2.5 hours. But anyways, it still felt really long.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but compare it to Braveheart. And also, in a post Game of Thrones world, a story like this, I guess I've come to expect like deeper and more complex character motivations.
Yeah.
And this was like pretty straightforward.
Yeah. But one thing I really enjoyed about Russell Crowe's character though is just his humility throughout the entire movie. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was awesome. I feel like you don't typically see that in many characters at all. But even, I think the pinnacle of it for me was when Commodus is like goading him. He's out there in the Colosseum and he's flat out like saying these horrible things about his wife and son that are dead. And he just like nothing. Usually I feel like a character would have done something, but it looks like he doesn't even have anger on his face. He's clearly angry, but he just like, I can't even remember what he says, but he just like leaves it there and like walks off. And it's just so awesome to see that from beginning to end. He never wants to be leader, and he has everything taken from him. And while he obviously wants to kill Commodus, he still like has this humility about him the entire movie and doesn't just want to like attack Commodus, even if it's because the guards are surrounding him and would probably kill him anyways. I think he was genuinely just that humble as well. Like, he wasn't just going to attack him like that right there.
Yeah, and I would, to like branch out of that point, I think like I have issues with the movie. There's still some we haven't talked about, but I still think this is I want to say great movie, like maybe just a good movie, but because of Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix, because of their performances, and because of most of the cinematography, like the movie still seems like noteworthy and like worth checking out. Like, maybe it's not one you rewatch all the time, but if you haven't seen it, I think it's worth seeing because of those two great performances and a lot of what it does visually.
Yeah, I absolutely think this is a movie you should watch at least once. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But what are other things you hate about it?
Yeah, so I said cinematography because most of it is great, and I think there are some gorgeous shots, but I think there's moments where it's like really weird, like it's uneven. I don't know if you noticed, like there was slow motion throughout the movie, and I don't know if they like shot it wrong or if it was like an afterthought to put the slow motion in.
Did you just laugh?
Because it's like I didn't intend to do that, but it just happened. So crash course in slow motion. And maybe this was different in 2000 and that's the whole deal. But if you want to shoot something in slow motion, you have to specifically shoot it in slow motion, and then you do it in editing. If you don't, then it's going to look wrong, essentially. Mm-hmm. It's like a very, very simplistic way of putting it. But so there's slow motion in this movie, but it's very blurry. And to me, that makes it seem like they didn't intentionally shoot it in slow motion.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot. And it's just so strange to me to see it in a Oscar-winning movie. and then there's a lot of really awkward zooms.
Yeah.
Like so many times we're in this wide and we just zoom in for a long time until we get to a character's face like really close up. And it's just like it takes forever, and to me it's just so awkward. And then there's some dated CGI, which you can't really fault to the movie, but those moments all mixed together really took me out of it. Like, because most of the cinematography is gorgeous and really good, those smaller, weaker points stand out so much to me.
Interesting.
And I don't think it won best cinematography, actually.
Well, there you go.
It won a ton of stuff. I don't think it won cinematography.
Well, that would probably be why.
I'm a fact check that. Yeah, it didn't win. It won for visual effects. It didn't win for cinematography.
How many Oscars does it have?
I think like 5.
That's crazy. I don't know. It's still just... I honestly still just describe it as underwhelming, and I don't know why.
I get that.
It's fun to watch, and the action scenes are great, but just overall, it just feels so choppy and not well structured. Kind of just how he goes all over the place. I don't know. Like, it's a weird story to tell about power and where it resides, I think.
Yeah. And he doesn't stop the prince from doing something terrible. You know, if Russell Crowe fails, then they're just in for like an egomaniac as their prince. He doesn't like have terrible motives, you know? Mm-hmm. So in that way, the stakes don't feel as grand as maybe the movie make them out to be. Yeah. They're like very personal stakes. And that's another thing. To some extent, I like that, but I feel like to be grander, then the stakes need to be grander.
Yeah, because it very much is a personal movie. And when we were watching this, it was my brothers and my dad and I, and we were talking about how it is comparable to Braveheart, but this is more of a movie about a specific man, and he's not just fighting for freedom; he's fighting for himself and for Rome, essentially, as well. But a lot of it is about himself. But I think it gets all that it just gets mixed up because it's about this movie about the power of Rome, but it's also very much his personal story. And I think it's weird to put those together when it's more personal for him.
Yeah.
And that they're not exactly related. I think in Braveheart, his freedom and the death of his wife are very, very related. Because if his country was free, his wife wouldn't have died. So those kind of go hand in hand. While in this one, it's more of just his story of revenge while also promoting Rome, rather than them being directly connected. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Certainly not a bad movie, but not my favorite either.
No, there's one thing that I think is like, it doesn't make sense, but it's like close to making it a bad movie for me.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that he gets over his dead wife and kisses that other lady.
When?
He kisses that other lady, the prince's sister.
But they used to be in love.
Whatever. Your wife died.
This is Braveheart all over again.
That's what I'm saying. But at least they didn't sleep together like in Braveheart.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. Do you
Makes
know
me so mad.
Do you know how much flack I get for that? For even mentioning that from my family?
Are they cool with it?
Yeah, they're like, oh no, it makes perfect sense. They're like, his child becomes the King of England. It's part of his victory. I'm like, no.
It is kind of cool that his son becomes the king or whatever, but still not. It's not worth it. Like his wife died. In both cases, it undercuts their deaths.
I know. They don't agree though, and I'm sure
it's not years later. It's like what? Like weeks at tops.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I'm sure if they listen to this episode, they'll think the same thing.
It's just, I can't. It bothered me.
Clearly. Well, at least it didn't ruin it for you.
Yeah, I guess not. It's a fine movie.
Oh, it's a fine movie.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'd still say though, if you haven't watched it, to go watch it.
Yeah. It's worth checking out.
Yeah.
Should I read the poll?
Let's read the poll.
It's poll time. Okay. So, I asked our Twitter audience, what's your favorite nickname for Maximus in Gladiator? We got the Spaniard, right?
All right, yeah.
Maximus the Merciful.
All right.
General.
Okay.
Or Savior of Rome.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going to switch it up. I want you to guess which one of these has 0 votes.
0?
0 votes.
Oh, gosh. All right, General.
Incorrect. General has 17% of the votes.
The Spaniard?
No. Spaniard has 33% of the votes.
Yeah, I figured the Spaniard would have a lot since he's called that all the time.
Yeah.
Maximus the Merciful?
50% of the votes.
You're telling me Savior of Rome has 0 votes?
0!
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you. That is real.
That's my vote. That was like, well, when you said that, I was like, oh, that's number 1.
That's awesome. No, Maximus the Merciful, 50%.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm just very, very bad at these polls.
So funny. Thanks for voting, guys.
Thanks for your votes.
But wow, not a single one of them for Savior of Rome. It is, I mean, that's the first time that's ever happened in a poll. That one had no votes.
Oh, well.
All right, should we hit up that topic time?
Let's do it.
Today we're talking about Ridley Scott.
Ridley.
The dude that's directed everything.
Everything.
It's crazy how many movies this guy's got.
Also, that was a Toy Story reference for you, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was a Gary Oldman, Leon the Professional.
I know what you're talking about.
That's what I thought you were doing.
No, I was doing when Woody turns his head around and says, "We see everything."
Very good.
Whatever. I give up.
Oh man, do you have a list of his movies by any chance in front of you?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just gonna run through the ones that I've seen, and then you can sort of do yours.
We're talking director only, right?
Director only, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He's got so many. So I've seen Alien, which we've talked about on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Thelma and Louise and Gladiator,
Mm-hmm.
Black Hawk Down, The Martian. Is that it? Yeah, I think so.
All right, you ready for mine?
Yeah.
All right, I've seen Alien. I saw Blade Runner for the first time last night. I've seen Gladiator, Black Hawk Down, Matchstick Men, Kingdom of Heaven, American Gangster.
Wow.
I think I've seen part of Robin Hood, but I haven't seen... No, I saw all of it. I did see all of it. Prometheus and Exodus, Gods and Kings. Golly, that movie was terrible.
You didn't see The Martian?
No, I want to, though.
Oh, dude.
I know.
Yeah, check it out. It's awesome.
I know.
So good for you. You've seen a lot of his movies.
I have.
That's awesome.
I feel like most of them are right there in that okay range, though. Like, he's got a huge plethora of them, but so many just sit in that middle. They're not good,
okay,
but they're not bad. Or they're not great, but they're not bad.
It's impressive to me. I'm impressed by, like, the wide range of different movies. Like, Thelma and Louise and Alien are very different movies.
Very different.
You know? And even, like, The Martian and Gladiator, you know, or both, like, I mean, one's way more action than the other, but there's action in both, and they're still very different movies.
Yeah.
He's got for a popular director like Ridley Scott, he's probably, I mean, aside from maybe Spielberg, he's got, like, a really wide range of movies.
Oh, so many of them recently, though, have just been so bad. I did not...
Yeah, I think you got to watch The Martian. I think that's his best movie in a long time.
Yeah, I think that'll redeem him, because I did not like Prometheus at all, and I did not like Exodus, Gods and Kings at all.
That's pretty funny.
Prometheus was so disappointing. I know we talked about Alien a little bit, but it just started out so good.
Yeah.
And just fell apart in so many ways.
I wonder if this is the kind of guy who, like, needs to sort of wipe the slate clean every time he does something else. Like Alien, great. And then something completely different, Blade Runner. And then something completely different, Thelma and Louise. You know, like, he just has to try something new each time. And every time he tries to replicate it, like Prometheus from Alien or Covenant from Prometheus or even, like, Exodus and Gladiator, he sort of fails in some way to try to recreate something he's already created.
Yeah. Have you seen Legend?
I have not.
Me either. I'm curious, though. I kind of want to see Tom Cruise in that.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly impressive, the wide range of movies he's able to do, and none of them are typically bad despite the more recent ones I've listed. I'd say overall most of his movies are either in the good range or just above it. But I feel like he has such a hard time reaching the, like, great range.
So none of these movies you would consider great?
Nope. I know I know a lot of people consider Blade Runner and Alien great. I do not.
I would consider The Martian, Alien, and Thelma and Louise as great.
I haven't seen Thelma and Louise.
And Gladiator, Gladiator's weird. Like, on a technical level, I want to say it's great, but we just talked about it, and it's not great.
Yep.
So
none of these movies are great. I really liked Matchstick Men. I'd have to rewatch that. I remember thinking that was great. Mm-hmm. I thought Black Hawk Down.
When's the last time you saw Thelma and Louise?
I just said I've never seen it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
OMG.
Watch that. That's a movie that, like, in film school you have to read that script.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Okay, I'll watch that one. But so many of these I think are good, not great. Like Black Hawk Down, good, not great. American Gangster, good, not great. Prometheus, terrible. Exodus, terrible. Gladiator, good, not great. Even Alien and Blade Runner, good, not great.
Interesting.
I know. Poor Ridley.
But people talk about Blade Runner. You know, it's like, it's a noteworthy movie in his tenure. Like, maybe more so than all the others.
It's true.
I still need to see it. I don't know if I mentioned that. I need to see Blade Runner. I haven't seen it.
Yes, you do. And then we need to do an episode over it after watching it for a second time.
Yes. Gotta watch it soon so I can get that second one in soon.
Yep. We need to... I guess we should just do it when the next one comes out. When even is that?
Yeah, that's
is that this year or is that next year?
That's this year. October of this year.
Oh, okay.
Blade Runner 2049, which he's not directing.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, but, you know.
That'll be interesting. It already looks, just from the trailer and from watching Blade Runner, last night, it looks very different.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe not very different, but just Blade Runner was pretty slow. And even in the Wikipedia page, it's like kind of crime noir, while this one the new one looks more action-packed.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I would I would be very surprised if a studio greenlit like a slow crime noir movie.
Yeah.
It's got to be an action-packed movie today.
Yep. Just the fact, like, even in the trailer, there's this huge missile explosion, like, when they're trying to get away, and nothing even close to that happens in Blade Runner.
Mm.
So I'm curious of what you would think of Blade Runner.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see it. I just have never gotten around to it.
That was same exact boat. I need to check out The Martian, though. That's another one. So I'll watch Thelma and Louise and The Martian and see if that raises my Ridley Scott bar.
Yeah, I think it might. I mean, Thelma and Louise is like, I do think it's great. I don't think it's gonna be anywhere close to like a favorite movie of yours.
Yeah.
But structurally and like the performances, it's worth watching for sure. And The Martian is so fun.
Yeah.
It's like thoroughly enjoyable, and I was so surprised by how much fun I had watching it.
All right.
Like, I don't think the trailer really did it justice.
I'll definitely check it out.
Okay.
I also remember thinking it was just like Interstellar, but funny from the trailer.
Well, as you might imagine, there are plenty of fan theories about how they're actually connected. So,
nice.
yeah, of course there are.
Yeah. Well, I'll certainly check it out sometime. But yeah, so far Ridley's just in the... And it might be just because he does have a wide range. And while that isn't... Like, I'm still impressed by just the massive amount of both movies he has and different kinds of movies. And that he can pull it off. So it's nothing to say that he's a bad director by any means. Just his movies aren't really my favorite. And it's probably because he tries to do so many different kinds. He doesn't specialize in any single one.
Yeah, maybe. And I'd also like to put it in perspective, like he's a great director, but he's also, working alongside a lot of amazing other directors. Like, I'm trying to look up, he's been nominated for Best Director a couple of times, and he's lost every time. He's never won one. And I'm trying to look up who he lost to, because I'm sure there was like probably amazing movies. So the year he was nominated for Thelma and Louise, he lost to The Silence of the Lambs, Jonathan Demme.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? And then the year for Gladiator, he lost to Steven Soderbergh for Traffic. And he lost to Ron Howard for A Beautiful Mind the year he was nominated for Black Hawk Down.
Oh.
So like a great director, but who has had to go up against these incredible sort of like tentpole movies.
Yeah. Well, it's still impressive. I just remember when you were telling me in this beginning, I did not put together that he had done so many movies.
Yeah.
That so many of these movies he had directed. It blows my mind. Well, you got anything else?
I think that's it. He's an interesting guy.
Interesting guy indeed.
All right. Is that the show?
It's the show.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. You've been great. Check out some of these Scott Ridley movies. And let us know what you think is what's his best movie. Tweet at us. We'll read your tweet out on the podcast. And tune in next week for Noah with our second guest, Stefan Gill. It's going to be a great episode.
Yeah,
I mean, it
is.
is. We already did it, and it's great. So tune in for that next week. That'll be a good one. So, if you want to support the show, it'd be awesome if you could share this podcast with a friend. Send them the link. Retweet our tweet on Twitter. All that stuff is in the description. And, write us an iTunes review if you want. That would be great. And we'll see you next week.
See y'all.
Bye.